Good morning, YouTube. It is, what fucking day of the week is it? It is Wednesday, January 17th, 9:16 a.m. Central Standard Time, a cold 19 degrees morning in the DFW Metroplex. If you are watching this over on YouTube, you can check this out every morning, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, over on playback.tv/slightlybiased. If you're watching this on playback.tv/slightlybiased, you can watch us over on the Slightly Biased Clips channel where you can subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so I can make money off of that channel. Yay! Yay! Now, if you're wondering, why would I can just watch this on YouTube. Why would I watch this on playback.tv? Well, we hang out a little bit before I hit record. We hang out a little bit after. You can talk in the chat. You know, all of these great things. Okay, guys? All right. A decent amount to talk about, despite the fact that there was only 3 games in the NBA last night, but there's still some news. I kind of want to lead off. The games were great, but, you know, this is the NBA. We do care more about news and transactions than actual games. At least that's what people accuse us of being. I can't say that's true for me, but I'm not going to lie. I do get a little bit of hype. Not going to lie. I do get a little bit hype whenever it comes to trade news. And we have some significant updates, I guess. The best player on the trade market, hands down, right? I mean, is there another player who's like actively in the trade market? There might be some behind the scenes stuff going on that we're not sure of, but the best active player on the trade market right now, Pascal Siakam, some significant updates. Things are reaching a point where it feels like he could be traded soon. I would be so surprised if this thing lasted until the trade deadline. I would be shocked if he's not traded within the next week. In fact, I'm going to make a prediction right now. I'm making a prediction right now. Pascal Siakam is traded in the next 48 hours. You heard it here first. Pascal Siakam is traded in the next 48 hours. And unless a mystery team appears out of nowhere, I would be pretty shocked if he does not end up in Indiana Pacers. Indiana Pacer. They have 3 first-round picks hanging on the table. They dangled 3 first-round picks for Siakam. And I feel like that just gets it done right there. I think that takes out the Kings, who have been reportedly out on these trade talks. That immediately takes out the Mavericks. And again, unless a mystery team pops up, think even Philly. If I'm Philly, I'm not trading all of that for Siakam. If I'm like, you know what, I could go to Siakam this summer and say, hey, you want to really compete for a ring? You know, we got a max space for you here. Come actually compete for a ring. No offense to the Indiana Pacers. Did they actually dangle that, or is Toronto leaked that to put pressure on Indy? I mean, I don't know. These negotiations have been very weird. I'm always very weirded out by these trade negotiations that seemingly take place in public. Very rarely does Shams report on trades like this. Very rarely. Now here's, I guess Shams had this in the piece. Bruce Brown, salary filler, first round pick for Siakam. Now, to be fair, all first round picks aren't created equal. I don't know what Indiana's pick situation is looking like. I know they have a few random ones here and there. Indiana Pacers picks, future draft picks, Indiana Pacers. I wish there's a website that does this pretty well. I guess we'll look at Fanspo. So they got their own first. They have this weird OKC, Houston, Clippers, or Utah. One of these like a trillion pick swaps. Indiana received the less favorable of OKC's first round pick, Houston's first round pick, first selections 1 through 4, the Clippers' first round pick. So they're getting the worst of these, which is like OKC looks like they're gonna have a low pick in the first round. Clippers, like, you know, that's not a great first round pick. And I think that's it. They had a bunch of first round picks this year. But if that pick is dangled, a team might look at that pick and be like, okay, that's not really a valuable first round pick to me. You know what I mean? Whereas the Mavericks could come in and be like, hey, we'll give you 20, whatever the Mavericks can trade. Was it 2028, 2027? And the Pacers could look at that and be like, wow, that's the most valuable pick offered to us, we think. Just because Kyrie will be old and maybe even like out of the league by that point. I mean, that's 3 years from now. I doubt he'll be out of the league, but his contract will be up. Luka will be a free agent. Like, a lot could happen there. Pacers fans are arguing that it was pick swaps on Twitter. Yeah, pick swaps. I mean, just saying it's 3 first-round picks doesn't necessarily mean it's 3 great first-round picks. There could be protections. I mean, who knows, right? Mavericks could have pick 30 in 2027 as well. Yeah, I mean, that's the risk of trading for future first-round picks. That's the risk when you trade for future first-round picks, but, you know. I would be... So, if this trade were to play out like this, and the Pacers do give up 3 first-round picks, which would greatly immobilize them in the future when it comes to trading for players, but maybe they just feel like, when's the chance going to come for us, Indiana, to get a player like Pascal Siakam? Part of me feels like there'd be like a wink-wink thing with Siakam and Indy. Like, they would feel pretty confident that they could keep Siakam. That would just be my guess. Does Siakam make the Pacers better? Yes, he does, significantly. Does he make them contenders or anything? No. But I do think playing next to Halliburton would be pretty great, and playing in that system, he's gonna feast. He's gonna have a good time. Running the floor, playing in that fast-paced offense, you know, that downhill, get to the rim. I think that's a pretty nice fit. Now, I would actually be interested in the Bruce Brown piece of this. He's got that 1-year deal pretty much. I think there's a team option for next year, but no team's going to pick that shit up. He's been underwhelming this year. Would he get rerouted in this trade? Because, you know, would Toronto really want him? Then is there a third team maybe that gets in on this to get Bruce Brown? And what does that mean? Me imitating Bill Simmons has led to me saying the Bruce Brown piece. It's kind of fun to say. I'm not going to lie to you. The Bruce Brown piece. It's kind of fun to say. I'm not going to lie. Russello. So anyways, I do think that Siakam's getting traded in the next few days. I do. There's no way this drags out longer. There's just no way, right? You do also have the... If I'm a team like Indiana, I'm sure Toronto leaked. There's no reason Indiana leaked this. I'm sure Toronto leaked this in an effort to drive up the price maybe for other potential suitors. If I'm Indiana, I'm going to Toronto and I'm saying, hey, dude, fuck, let's get it going. Like, we're leaking trade packages. Players that are playing in our rotation are being rumored to be in trades. Like, let's get this thing going. I think there's a reason why some teams, like the Mavericks, move in silence in the way that they do when it comes to trades, because it is awkward. It's a weird thing whenever stuff like this pops up from Shams. It's not like it's some random guy on Twitter. It's Shams. It is going to be a really boring trade deadline if you don't consider OG Pascal going before the deadline. I do think this trade deadline is going to suck. The Pacers feel pretty strongly about being able to re-sign Siakam. Exactly. Okay, so there you go. Benedict Mather and Jarris Walker wouldn't be included in the deal? Yeah, I wouldn't think so. That was tweeted 2 minutes ago. Well, there you go. My cat is playing with a catnip toy. Oh, God. Good luck, everyone. How much noise was it for Luka trade before they moved up in the draft? So if memory serves me correctly, there was some speculation. But I think a lot of it was Mavs fans trying to will it into existence. Give Mav fans credit. I think pretty much everyone was like, please fucking go get Luka Doncic. I do remember there was some radio personalities in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex that on a Twitter account long ago that was tied to the Texas Tech Red Raiders, got into an argument with a radio personality in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex because he thought Mo Bamba was the best player to pick for the Mavericks. And I covered Tech basketball at the time and watched Mo Bamba in person and was like, no fucking chance. No chance at all. Should we go after this guy? And I was right. I should be a scout is what I'm ultimately trying to get at. I nailed that draft. I don't have any proof of it. I love Jared Jackson Jr. I love Luka. I love Trey. I thought Trae Young, for some reason, Trae Young was just getting shit on in the pre-draft process. I just literally mentioned like top 5 picks right there, the players that I loved. But all the players I didn't like. Remember Jared Culver got picked 6? I thought Jared Culver was going to be good in the NBA. I thought he was at least going to be a solid role player. Unfortunately, not the case. Zaire Smith, Zaire Smith was in that 2018 draft class. Infamously, was a lottery pick, I believe, right? Zaire Smith was in the trade for Mikal Bridges, right? I love Zaire Smith. I did not think he was going to be good. I was shocked that he was declaring for the draft and got drafted as high as he did. But he had some really weird. What was it? He had like a soy allergy or something like that. I'm trying to remember what it was exactly. But he had a really bad allergic reaction, lost a ton of weight. A very unfortunate series of events for him. I wonder what he's up to now. He's in the G League. I hope he makes a comeback. He's only 24 years old. Hopefully he makes it back in the league at some point. So anyways, I think the Siakam stuff is boiling. And it's about to pop off. Indiana makes a lot of sense. They seem very motivated. They're in this kind of window now where you look at them and they're like the fun up and coming team, but they're not like a super young team. You know, Halliburton's about to be on a max deal. And outside of him, it's like, all right, you do have Jarris Walker, who's younger. You know, Benedict Matherin's a second-year guy. Nimhard's a second-year guy. And outside of that, like the rest of their team is kind of oldish, or like in their mid to late 20s, which is oldish. Miles Turner, Buddy Hield, TJ McConnell, Bruce Brown. I don't see the point. Does this make the Pacers a round 2 team? Well, another reason why the Pacers would do this is because, all right, let's get Siakam in this building. We have his bird rights. We can, that gives us a better chance of getting him in free agency. So it's not just like, hey, we're doing it right now. This is a win now trade for us. We only care about the next 4 months. I don't think that's what they're doing here. DeJounte Murray going to the Nets. Yeah, DeJounte Murray, that stuff's boiling as well. I don't know where he ends up going. The Hawks might be lucky where like it's going to be a seller's market because there's not a lot of them, and teams end up just becoming so desperate that DeJounte Murray gets way more than he should on the trade market probably. The top 10 rookies in defense of LeBron. Lively is second. I did see that. Lively was like 5th total, wasn't he? Or something like that. Defensive LeBron is not a very good stat. It's just not. I think Sabonis is in the top 10. Nurkic is in the top 10. It's not a very good stat. I really thought Murray was going to the Lakers. It's still possible that Murray goes to the Lakers. Murray to the Spurs. I mean, Murray, there appears to be quite the market for DeJounte Murray. So the Siakam dream appears to be dead for the Mavericks. I don't even know how alive it was. Just from reports that we heard, it sounded like the Mavericks, they tested the waters a little bit. They kicked the tires. They made some phone calls, but ultimately, that was that. The Mavericks, if you were unaware, the Mavericks typically move in silence when it comes to trades. Can't remember a time where like it was really like talked about the Mavericks are going to do this, Mavericks are going to do this, Mavericks are going to do this, and then they did it. Kyrie was kind of one of them, but that was also more so the Mavericks had a glaring need, which was a secondary ball handler. Kyrie became available. Kyrie had the Mavericks on his list or whatever it was, and it was kind of obvious. Kind of an obvious fit, but I don't even think we heard much like the Mavericks are really going after Kyrie. Both KP trades are absolutely shocking when they happened. So we'll see. The Mavericks do typically move in silence, but I do think that they're out on Siakam. I don't think they were ever really in it. It's a risky trade. That makes them better for sure. Does it make them title contenders? I don't think so necessarily. I don't know. The Siakam fit, it does make sense. It's just risky because he's 30 years old. You're going to have to pay him $40 million. There's a lot of risk involved. I would have been interested if the price was right, if this was a Kyrie 2.0 situation where Kyrie maybe said, hey, or Siakam said, hey, I only want to play with the Mavericks. That's it. No one else trade for me. I want to play there. I want to sign there. Yeah, I'm not interested in signing anywhere else. And the Mavericks were able to get him for cheap. Cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. So hopefully the Siakam stuff gets going. I can't imagine it kind of sucks that the three biggest trades of the season, once Siakam gets traded, the three biggest trades of the season will probably already have happened. You have the Harden trade, the OG trade, and then the Siakam trade. I can't imagine a bigger name than that getting traded. Maybe I would put a greater than 0, but less than 2% chance. Trae Young. I really highly doubt it. Sure, the Harden trade's not even that fun because it's just Harden traded again. All right, let's talk about some of the games last night. A few good games. Some fun talking points. Embiid, Jokic. Embiid does it again, man. 41 points, 10 assists. Okay, so the 30 and 10 rebound streak comes to an end for Mr. Joel Embiid, but the 30-point streak is still alive and well. This was a really nice and impressive win for the Sixers. A nice and impressive win for Philadelphia. Embiid goes crazy, man. He's just at another level. His jumpers are just unguardable. I mean, he barely did anything down low in this game. It was just a mid-range masterclass for Mr. Joel Embiid. And he got the better of Nikola Jokic. No two ways around it. Now, let me get on my hater shit just a tiny bit. Let me get on my hater shit really quickly. Just a tiny bit. Embiid and the 76ers are becoming a lot like the Dallas Mavericks to me. Or not the Dallas Mavericks, sorry. The Dallas Cowboys to me. They become like the Dallas Cowboys. I genuinely don't care what you do in the regular season at this point. At this point, what you do in the regular season matters zero to me. I've seen it all the great stuff, great. The record breaking, cool. That's all great. It's cool. It's awesome. Can you do something in the playoffs? And until you do, I'm sorry. I can't get that high. And it's hard for me. It's hard for me to get hyped and worked up about this. It's different for a second, third, fourth, fifth year player who just hasn't had that many cracks at it. Embiid's going to be 30 by the time the next playoffs start. It's now or never. There's no excuse. Okay? You're playing the best basketball of your life, which is crazy to say because you were the runner-up in MVP. What was it? 3 years in a row? 2 years in a row? You won the MVP last year. You're playing better than ever. You're on one of the greatest scoring stretches we have ever seen in the history of the sport. And that's great. And it's awesome. But there is just a part of me where it's I don't care that much right now. I'm sorry. This game is very the NBA just in general is very. It's when we talk about players and stuff like that, it's all about postseason. There's other sports where that's not really the case. Like baseball, it's not really the case. Basketball, it very much is the case. So let's see. It should be this year for the Sixers. What are they right now? The 2 seed? Are they the 2 or the 3 seed? They are the 3 seed. Either way, they'd be playing the Bucks more than likely in round 2. I think you should win that series. You would avoid the Celtics until the conference finals. I think you should beat the Bucks. More pressure, the Celtics or the 76ers? That's a great question. It'd have to be the Celtics, right? It'd have to be the Celtics, right? Because if the Sixers lost to the Celtics, you would just be like, oh, okay. I mean, the Celtics were just better. Both teams are under a lot of pressure, though. I think out of any player on either team, Embiid's under the most pressure as a player. As a team, if the Celtics don't make it to the finals this year, it's like, okay, are you guys ever going to fucking win? Like, are you guys ever going to win? You've had a great roster now for like 7 years. Mavericks up to 5 now? Anyways, games like these for the Nuggets, you do kind of wish, the Jokic he did take 20 shots, but it's still just like, there's so many stretches so many stretches in this game late where the ball wasn't in Jokic's hands, and it just like led to, I don't know, Jamal Murray was a disaster in the closing minutes of this game. Jamal Murray is such an interesting player to me. If he stays in the West his whole career, it's very possible he's never an all-star. Like the guard position is so stacked in the West, and every season it feels like, especially this season after the playoff run he had last year, everyone was like, "All right, Jamal's making an all-star game this year. It's time. Like, we got to get him in there." And then the season starts, and it's January, and you're like, maybe next year. He's a playoff guy. I just told him he's the best player in the league. Joel Embiid, what he said to Jokic after the game. Yeah, this isn't like a real rivalry. These two really respect each other. Embiid didn't mean that. He said that a lot. He probably does. These two got a lot of respect for each other, which is nice. It's definitely more of a Stan Twitter rivalry for sure. Would it be a little bit more fun as an NBA viewer if these two had like a legit beef? Yeah, that would be kind of fun. But that's just not how the NBA works now. There's very few legit player rivalries. I mean, even like LeBron and Steph had a little player rivalry for a tiny bit, and then they squashed the beef and are like buds now. But that was fun when there was like that brief period where LeBron and Steph had a little rivalry going. Then Draymond Green became LeBron's boyfriend or something like that, and then that was just kind of the end of it. He'll get $50 million a year. Who cares anymore? Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, a great win for the Sixers. Tobias Harris had another great game. Wow, who'd have guessed? The guy's just a good player. Tobias Harris had a good game? Oh, yeah, because he's a good player. It's so funny the way Sixers fans talk about him. So funny. Let's pull up Tobias Harris's game logs, okay? Because if you go on Twitter, anytime you talk about Tobias Harris being good, there's Sixers fans who are in the replies who are like, yeah, it's just one good game, and then he'll have like a 2-week stretch of 7 points a game or something. Well, let's look. I see a couple stinkers here and there for sure. But where's like the prolonged stretch of being asked? 2 games right here. So like 4 games. Tobias Harris is a good player. I don't think Sixers fans. I think Sixers fans really underappreciate him in a sad way. Is he as good as his contract is? No, but acting like he's a terrible player is crazy, which they do. Wow. What an interesting game this was, huh? I think the Suns went on like a 32-8 run, 32-9 run to win this game. Your Suns roster tweet came back to haunt you. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. Don't. The Suns started raining threes. The minutes where KD was the 5 was really impressive. I'm not moved at all by the Suns team still. Okay. Not moved by the Suns team really at all still. The Kings, I remain exactly where I am. I don't know how the fuck this team is 6 games above 500. I think there's a polar bear in Arlington type of thing going on whenever you look at this team and the teams around them. That's just how I feel. I predicted this team would be a playing team going into the season, and I still feel pretty confident about that, to be honest with you, barring injuries and stuff like that. The pendulum always swings in the NBA. It does. It's just in all of sports, really. It's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing how this happens. If you get lucky, I mean, the Kings took advantage of a lot of things last year, but they got, I mean, look at some of their clutch stuff. They were a fortunate team last year. They were good. They were great. A great story. They were a fortunate team. They were a fortunate team. They were very healthy. They took advantage of a very unhealthy and weird West. And their record in clutch games was insane. And that stuff always swings. That's what I was saying about the Mavericks all offseason, where it's like, guys, like the clutch stuff's not going to be that bad again. It's just like it never works like that. It never works like that. In any sport, it's just weird. If you're very lucky in clutch games one year, you're not going to be very lucky the next year. And the Kings have had several losses this year that would be wins for them in years past, where you're just like, how the fuck did the Kings win that game? They had multiple games like that last year where it was like, oh my God, how the hell did the Kings pull that one out? This year they've had multiple losses where it's like, how the hell did they lose that one? You had this game right here where they looked horrible down the stretch, literally piss running down their legs. And that followed up a Bucks loss that seemed improbable. They were up 4 with 30 seconds left shooting free throws. Up 4, 30 seconds left shooting free throws in this game against the Bucks and ended up losing. And that came after getting blown out by the Joel Embiid-less 76ers. So, peace out, LJ. I remain unimpressed by this Kings team. I mean, Fox had like decent stats, but he was not good in this game, at least not down the stretch. Monk was a disaster in this game. The Suns were raining threes. And yeah, whenever who said that? Whenever you switch everything against this Kings team, they really struggle. They really struggle. This is not a team that is built in for the playoffs. I don't think that at all. They got exposed a little bit last year in the postseason. And yeah, defenses are going to wise up to everything that you do in the playoffs. They're going to clamp down. The guys that have to get minutes in the regular season so your guys don't die and get tired aren't going to be playing in the playoffs. And you're going to be very reliant on role players because we already saw it against the Warriors. The dribble handoff shit's going to get locked up. And it's going to be on Harrison Barnes and Kevin Huerter. I always almost call him Kevon Huerter because of those memes. Kevin Huerter, Malik Monk. These guys got to knock down threes at a high clip. Grayson Allen, 29 points, 9 of 14 from 3. Jesus Christ. Nurkic, a -8. I'm just this is one of those games where you leave unimpressed with both teams. A nice win though for the Suns, an improbable comeback. I have no clue how the Kings shitted their pants so hard on this one, and there might be some weird vibe stuff with them. Because Sabonis, I was watching, I noticed it live. Sabonis walked off the court immediately. Just the final buzzer rang, Sabonis was out. LJ, don't put some shit like that in the chat ever again. Sabonis walked off the court immediately. Fox was about to walk off the court, and Katie was like, "Yo, you're not gonna say a good game to me or something?" The Mavs lost like this would be chaos. Oh, it would be bad. It'd be bad. So a terrible loss. I just bit the fuck out of my tongue. A terrible loss for the Kings. Dion Mitchell getting coach's decisions, DNPs. Yeah, they want to trade him, it sounds like. And that leads us to the last game of the night, the Clippers and the Thunder. Second night of a back-to-back for the Thunder. I thought it showed. I thought by, halfway through the third quarter. And they made a pretty valiant effort in the fourth quarter, a pretty solid push. But I thought it was kind of obvious that their legs weren't under them and they looked a little bit tired. Our boy Shea had a disappointing one on national TV. A couple bad games in a row for him. Of course, this comes directly after Shaq on Inside the NBA said that Shea is better than Luka, or he'd rather have Shea than Luka, whatever the fuck he said. Look, I've been a huge Shea believer, and I haven't been that shy in my opinion that, yeah, Shea and Luka aren't that far apart. Just in terms of players right now. Shea and Luka aren't that far apart, right? So it's not, I don't know. I don't get like too worked up when those two get compared. I will just say this. It's the same thing I say anytime a player gets compared to Luka or some young guy gets brought up with Luka. You're talking about a guy who, knock on glass, assuming he stays healthy and plays 65 games this year, a guy who's going to be a first-time All-NBA player 5 times in his 6-year career. Do you know how crazy that is? You know how crazy that is to even be a 5-time first-team All-NBA guy? I mean, that's rare. There are Hall of Famers who were not 5-time first All-NBA guys. There are like top 20 to top 30 players in the history of the sport who are not 5-time All-NBA first-team guys. Dirk Nowitzki was not a 5-time first-team All-NBA guy. It's a rare thing, especially when you look at how unbelievable the guards have been in this league. Dirk, 4-time first team All-NBA. Yeah, only 27 players in NBA history have 5 All-NBA first team selections. That's actually insanity. So that's, and also you're also talking about you're also talking about somebody who is currently, is he still currently second all time in the postseason scoring. So you just be careful of what you're talking about when you're putting people on that pedestal. Because Luka, we already know who Luka is. Luka's going to bring it every single time. Third all time in regular season points per game. That is true. What Shaq said is, I'm going to have to take SGA. Luka's a fabulous player, but this kid, he plays the right way, gets his teammate involved. I'm taking him right now. He's a hell of a player right now. Anytime your arguments just kind of boil down to he makes his teammates play better or he plays the right way, you don't have any real significant arguments. That's just how I feel. Anytime that those just random things pop up, you don't really have too many arguments. Plays the right way. I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what that means. But I'm not trying to go on a Shea hater thing because I absolutely love Shea. He's been incredible this season. And I do hate that I can't. I partially did this myself because I've leaned so heavily into the Mavericks thing, especially in content, that, you know, a vast majority of my followers and subscribers and stuff are Mavericks fans, which is great. But I do hate that I can't just be like, hey, you know, I love Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. He had an off night, and Maverick fans are in my mention. Fuck yeah! And I'm like, hey, he was dealing with the knee injury. And they're like, no, pussy, you can't say that. You can't say that about him. And I'm just like, whoa, dude. Like, I posted a video about Wembanyama, and there was people in the comments like, wow, you think we're scared of Victor Wembanyama? I'm like, dude, I'm just enjoying good players play basketball. You know? Like, it doesn't have to turn into this anytime we talk about a good player playing basketball. You know, to be fair, Luka dealing with the quad injury and non-Mavs fans didn't care. I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter to me. I watch a lot of Thunder games. Shea's clearly dealing with a knee injury. He just doesn't look the same. Yeah. It's clear and obvious if you watch. And yes, Luka in the past couple weeks clearly dealing with some type of injury as well. So I don't like I just don't like it. And Shaq set him up, to be fair. This wasn't like Mavs fans, you know, were just like, no, you can never say Shea's name. You can't say his name. You can't say his name, or else we're going to yell at you. Shaq did just directly compare him to Luka. This is a pattern, obviously. This is a pattern of players getting compared to Luka. It was John Morant for a while, Zion, Trae Young, of course, at first, Anthony Edwards for a little tiny bit there. I saw a graphic that had Halliburton. I don't remember that one. Booker for a little bit, yeah. I don't know if I ever saw Halliburton. Maybe I'm just misremembering. KD. Okay, we're talking about like young players. But whatever, man. Shea's been really good this season. Shea's been really good. Okay. I got fucking blasted on Twitter for saying, hey, Shea and Luka aren't that far apart this season. Or whatever I said. Shea and Luka aren't that far apart. I got blasted for insinuating that Luka was better than Shea, but that they're not that far apart. Like, we don't have to do all of that. You know, we just don't. I do think Luka's better, though. And Luka's body of work, obviously, is much better. But this was an incredible performance by Paul George. Holy fuck. He took this game over down the stretch. I mean, that was domination. I think I might make a video about it today. What do you guys think? Might make a video about Paul George's absurd play last night. He was so good, hitting tough shots. This Clippers team is a nightmare, guys. I think if I were to do my power rankings today, I think I'd have 4 true contender teams. I'd kick the Thunder out, unfortunately. I was maybe a little too high on them in my last power rankings. They have clear and obvious flaws that I think prevents them from being in the top of that tier. But my 4 top tier contending teams right now, in no particular order, the Nuggets are still up there for sure. The Celtics, obviously. I do think the Sixers are there. I do think the Sixers are up there, honestly. And then the Clippers. I'd have the Timberwolves a tier below those teams. I'd have the Bucks a tier below those teams. I'd have the Thunder a tier below those teams as well. But that's just, the Clippers have just been playing that well, man. They just play really good basketball. They play really good basketball. I don't get the Giddey plays 19 minutes. Like, oh, I don't know. His minutes shit is just so strange to me. So strange to me. And like, whenever he's on the floor, he's doing everything, it feels like, almost. Like, he's so involved in everything when he's on the floor. Clippers always a mirage. They could be, but as it looks right now, they look really good. They look really good. So, SGA is now Luka is on offense and past season success, leading the league in steals means nothing. Steph and AI led the league in steals, and both are garbage defenders. Okay, well, Shea's not a garbage defender, though. Like, if you watch, Shea's like a legit, very good perimeter defender. People need to stop acting like SGA's peak point guard and PG and Kobe. Peak PG? Paul George? You don't think Shea's better than peak Paul George? Maybe not defensively, but MVP G13. Paul George was so good in this game, man. Happy for the Clippers, though. Happy for the Clippers. All right, what do we got tonight? Can I say something that might sound weird as a Mavs fan? Because I don't care about the Clippers-Mavericks rivalry that much. Like, they kicked our ass in the playoffs twice. They were the better team twice. Luka had historic performances. Like, it is what it is. I have no real beef with them at all. If the Mavericks don't win, I have no problem with the Clippers winning at all. Kawhi getting another one makes his all-time case very interesting. Like, if Kawhi stays healthy for another playoff run and like wins Finals MVP, his all-time case becomes really interesting. Where it's like, what is Kawhi's like all-time argument? 3 Finals MVPs on 3 different teams. Russ gets a ring. Harden gets one. It would be interesting. What do you think about D'Lo's potential? It's very high. Yeah, defensive player of the year as well. He's a healthy career away from being a top 10 player ever. I mean, whenever he's going, it's just unbelievable. I don't think Kawhi's a Finals MVP on this Clippers team. No, come on, playoff Kawhi. If they went on a Finals run, it's because Kawhi is playoff Kawhi. All right, what games we got tonight? Timberwolves and Pistons, yawn. Magic and Hawks. Could be somewhat fun. It's always interesting around the trade deadline with teams like Atlanta because you never know. You never know. You never know whose last game it is. Spurs and Boston. Spurs beat Boston tonight. Victor Wembanyama in the Garden. Bucks and Cavaliers on ESPN. Cavs 5-0 in their last 5 games. Rockets and Knicks. Heat and Raptors. Hornets, Pelicans. Warriors, Jazz. Oh, man. Warriors desperately need to win. They go and play one of the best and hottest teams in the league at home. Yikes. Nets, Trailblazers, and, of course, Lakers and Mavericks tonight. Does kind of seem like Luka might be playing. We'll see. Some interesting games. Lakers, Mavs, usually a good game. Mavericks and Lakers always play each other really close. Like these games are always good. Warriors fans can have a meltdown if they lose. Well, I mean, they should. I mean, they winning this game would actually be kind of impressive. Warriors will win, coming crazy. Jazz have an off night eventually. It's possible. So a busy slate of games across the NBA tonight. I don't know about a great one. Let's look at the ESPN Power Rankings, shall we? Celtics number 1. Timberwolves up to 2. Nuggets dropped to 3. Okay. Thunder 4. Bucks 5. Mavericks up to 6. Holy shit. What? 6? How are they ahead of the Clippers? No, them being ahead of the Clippers is wild behavior. Clippers 7. So what's the argument for... Interesting. Okay, hey, I'm not going to complain. Zubac's injury, maybe. That does suck. That does suck because Zubats and Harden were like really good next to each other. Sixers down to 8. Okay, I to be honest, I think I'd probably have the Mavericks at 8. Just because I don't think, the Heat, I take the Mavericks over them. The Cavs, I take the Mavericks over them considering their injuries, but the Cavs have been really good lately. Pelicans, Knicks, Pacers, Kings, Suns, Magic, Jazz. Jazz need to be higher than 17. I mean, we're just doing power rankings. We're just doing power rankings. The Jazz should be ahead of the Suns for sure. Ahead of the Kings for sure. Rockets, Bulls, Lakers. Damn. All right, guys, hold on. Let's pause everything that we're doing, everything that we're talking about in the chat because someone's spamming a message in here. Do you think should Mavs make small move at this deadline? I think they should wait till offseason and let D-Live and team develop and gel together. Yes, I think the Mavericks will probably make a small move at the deadline. All right. Nets 22. They've been horrible lately. Wow, there's a lot of bad teams in the league, guys. These teams are all really bad. I mean, this group of like 9 to 10. This group of like 9 to 10 teams are just atrocious. It's gearing up, guys. I still think this is going to be a shit trade deadline. Siakam getting traded will be big, but Mark Cuban was on a radio and said no changes will be made this trade deadline, and said he talked to Nico. He said no trades at all will be made. I mean, I don't put much into that. We still got 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe. Yeah, they're not going to be like, yeah, we're making a trade. We don't know who yet. We're making a trade. Some of these guys on our team will be traded, and we don't know who or when. Yeah. We will trade Tim Hardaway Jr. at some point in the next coming weeks. We just don't know to who yet. But we're looking to trade him. So I don't know. We'll see. I've told you guys forever, I don't think the Mavericks are doing much this trade deadline. So it wouldn't surprise me. I want that to be the... I'm trying to just talk that to you guys because... I'm trying to talk that into existence for you guys because I don't want you guys to get your hopes up for a massive trade and then inevitably be upset whenever they don't do it because I don't think there's one there. I don't think there's one there at all. It's a weird trade deadline with weird. The market is very weird. The market is very strange. All right, guys. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can check these out on playback.tv/slightlybiased. If you're watching us on playback.tv/slightlybiased, you can watch the VODs over on the Slightly Biased Clips channel.